India, where the residents, most of the residents, are devoted to the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The basic teaching being to please Krishna with your life, your wealth, your intelligence, and your words. And that town is Vrindavan, near Delhi. And we spent a month there, and that month transformed my life. Because where I had come from in the West, I was taught that you are supposed to earn a lot of money and use that money to live comfortably, surrounded by your friends and family, and having some power and prestige, and in that way go on with life. And I had noted that people who were doing those very things were full of stress, who were full of unfulfilled desires, always hankering and lamenting. And there in Vrindavan, the people were not interested in earning a lot of money and living comfortably. And yet they had a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction that was unknown to me coming from the West. So I really had to stop, and it really turned my entire life upside down. They lived very simply in Vrindavan, and they centered their entire lives around pleasing God. And from that they had a fulfillment that was totally foreign to anything I had ever experienced. And in India, my friend and I had the great good fortune of meeting the author of Bhagavad Gita as it is, Mr. H.G Visakha. And we had the chance to hear from him formally in terms of lectures that he gave, and also informally in discussions. We were able to ask him questions. And we found that here was a person that had tremendous knowledge of the scriptures, vast knowledge. And he was living according to that knowledge. It's not that he said one thing, did something else, but he was living exactly according to the teachings. And he was happy as a result. He had a happiness that was not related to the ups and downs of this world. It was transcendental to those things. So we were so deeply affected by this that both my friend and I became his students. And I spent the next 25 years studying his Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then I thought I'd really like to explain this book so that even a child could understand it. So in 1996, I wrote and illustrated Our Most Dear Friend, the Bhagavad Gita for Children. And these are some pages from that book. It begins as the Gita begins, explaining that we are not these bodies. We are the soul within the body, and it's the soul that gives consciousness and life to the body. Wherever there is life there because of the presence of the soul. Whether it's the body of a bird, or a bug, or a fish, or a zebra. If it's alive because the soul is there within it. And all the souls are equal to every other soul. It's not that the soul in the human body is superior in any way to the soul in any other body. And also Krishna explains that the body goes through all these changes, from birth to growth, to the prime of life, and dwindling and dying. But the soul is not affected by these bodily changes. Krishna gives the analogy that just as when our clothes become old, we give them up and accept new clothes. So in the same way, when the body becomes old and useless, we give it up and accept a new birth. Krishna says, when you understand the soul, you'll be joyful and will never forget your higher spiritual nature. Even if great trouble comes, you will not be disturbed. When you understand the soul, you will see that all living beings are part of me, the Supreme Spirit of God. You will see that they are my children and are spiritually equal. And you will be kind to all living beings, knowing that they are all dear to me. So the story continues that my friend who wrote to me from India and invited me to come there, and who went with me to the Himalayas and who gave me that Bhagavad Gita as it is, the English version, and who also became a student of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, also married us. We are still married today. two daughters, and this girl in the pink dress on the right is our elder daughter. Krishna says, everything rests on me as pearls rest on a thread. There is no truth above me. I am the knower of past and present and future. Not a blade of grass moves without my will. I am the creator of the spiritual world and the material world. And I am the most dear friend of every living entity. So when this book was complete, I thought I'd try to do one for the next age group, young adults, and that became Bhagavad Gita, a photographic essay. And by the grace of Krishna, that book won an award last year from the Independent Publishers Group in the Inspirational Spiritual category, and they sent us the medallion. All at home. So this is my father-in-law, and on the right he was in his 20s, and on the left he was in his 80s. So the body has changed completely, but it's the same person because the same soul is residing within that body. Krishna says that anyone who has a body, a material body, must undergo birth, old age and disease, and finally death. These things are inevitable for those of us who are embodied. And he says the soul is called marginal, tatasta shakti. Just like the beach is the margin between the land and the ocean, sometimes the beach is covered with water, and sometimes the water recedes. So similarly, sometimes the soul is covered by material nature. And then we think, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm so many years old, this is my profession. And sometimes, by the grace of God and Guru, that covering recedes, and then we can understand I'm not any of those things. I'm a spirit soul. I'm part and parcel of God. I have an eternal relationship with God. And I'm meant to develop that relationship. Also, the soul is sometimes compared to a bird and the body to a cage. And at the time of death, the soul leaves the body just as the bird flies out of the cage. So this is my good husband, Yadagara Prabhu. This is our younger daughter. And this also illustrates an analogy. If the father provides everything for the daughter, including the cracker, but if the daughter takes that cracker, which is given by the father, and offers it to the father with love, the father is so happy. So in the same way, God has given us everything we have. There's nothing we have that has not come from God. But if we take grains and fruits and vegetables and offer those to God with love, that pleases Him, because He's a person, and He reciprocates the love of His devotees. And Krishna says in the Gita that those who are godly live side by side with those who are ungodly throughout the world. And by studying His teachings in the Gita, we can learn to distinguish the godly from the ungodly, and associate with those who are godly, and disassociate from the ungodly. So while we were doing these projects, my family and I moved to different cities in America for various reasons. And eventually we came to Los Angeles. We wanted to be near our father-in-law, my father-in-law, who was very elderly. And when he passed away, my husband and I thought we'd really like to move to a place that would be conducive for our daughter's spiritual life. We didn't think that we could protect her from the material energy if she grew up in Los Angeles. So we moved to British Columbia, a place called Sharanagati. Sharanagati is 1,600 acres. It's 4.5 hours from Vancouver. And it has 20 or 25 families, all of whom are devoted to following the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And we purchased this small house amongst the trees there. And the unique feature of Sharanagati is that it's off the grid. We have no electricity from the powerhouse. Every family makes their own electricity. So under the windows to the right, there are 2 rectangles. Those are solar panels. So my family and I make electricity using solar panels, and we have lights, and we have a computer, we have internet and a cell phone, but we don't have the bill from the electric company. So life in Sharanagati is more simple and more slow than it was in Los Angeles. And while we were there, I found this quote from Srila Prabhupada. He said, material or spiritual, everything is in harmony. That is God's law. Everything is in harmony. And this quote became the basis of a third book, also based on Bhagavad Gita, called Harmony and the Bhagavad Gita. We have an organic farm in Sharanagati. Here we're harvesting raspberries. We also have a large crop of rhubarb and something called sunchokes, all organic. So harmony in the Bhagavad Gita is divided into 4 parts. The first one is harmony within. And it begins as the Gita begins, in great confusion. Arjuna has a duty that he does not want to do, so he's overcome with emotion, what to do. And Krishna explains to him that for success in spiritual life, one must be resolute. We can learn so much from nature. So in nature we can see how resolute the ants are. If their colony is disturbed, somehow each ant knows what to do, and they never seem to become depressed or hopeless or negative. It's humans that become depressed and hopeless and negative. The ants simply do the needful. And Krishna explains that for success in spiritual life, one must become equipoised amidst the dualities of this world. There will always be happiness and distress, pleasure and pain, success and failure. But the aspiring transcendentalist must not be affected by these ups and downs. About 150 years ago, Sharanagati was inhabited by pioneers, and this pioneer is buried on our property. And these animals graze on Sharanagati pastures, and by observing them we can see how they're controlled by the urges of eating and sleeping and mating and defending, which are also urges that humans feel. And in the Gita, Krishna explains that, again, for success spiritually, we must regulate these urges. So we have summer camp in Sharanagati, and for one project, we cut down an old tree and made logs, and put some of the wood through our sawmill to make planks. And the campers themselves nailed the planks onto the logs to make this raft. And then they paddled around on Lake Sharanagati. This is part 2 of Harmony and the Bhagavad Gita. This is our younger daughter with her own horse, Adi. And part 2 is harmony with the earth and her creatures. This is a homemade hammock made from a sheet. And our daughter's in the center, and her 2 friends, who are twins, are on either side. This is in our backyard. Those who work in devotion, who are pure souls and who control their mind and senses, are dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to them. This is a wild flower, also in our backyard. In 2003, we had a devastating forest fire in Sharanagati. It wasn't actually in Sharanagati, it was within a mile of our property. It burned 25,000 acres. You could see the flames coming over the east ridge. And we compare that to the uncontrolled mind. Krishna says that for one whose mind is uncontrolled, it's the worst enemy. It wreaks havoc in spiritual life. just like a forest fire wreaks havoc. Now we discuss balance. We will always have material responsibilities and spiritual aspirations, and we must learn to balance these two for success in spiritual life. This picture, and many of these pictures were taken from the front porch of our home. That's Lake Sharanagati shining through the fir trees, and in the back is a hill we call Govardhan. On the top is a shrine for the Panchatattva. Again, the campers found this lizard and were delighted. These swans visit us every year as they migrate south. We're very happy to host them for a few weeks. And we also have a small organic garden in front of our house. We start the seedlings indoors in the windowsill. These are tomato seedlings. And as the weather warms, we transplant them. And we found these cherry tomatoes were more succulent than anything we'd ever purchased in a supermarket. So these are the campers on their homemade raft. These two boys took a gamcha, which is an Indian towel, and they held it between them to make a sail. And they sailed the whole length of Lake Sharanagati, which is a mile long. And then they were stuck. When they got to the end, they were stuck. They had to rescue them. So this is part 3. We started with harmony within, then harmony with the earth and her creatures, and now perhaps more challenging is harmony with other people. So Krishna explains that he speaks Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna because Arjuna was not envious of him. So envy is a great relationship destroyer. So one may ask, well gosh, how to get rid of envy? And in the Gita, Arjuna says to Krishna that by chanting his names and hearing his names, we become attached to him and joyful. And then envy, which is like dust covering the heart, is cleared away. And we can have harmony in our relationships. This is our younger daughter during camp, jumping. Also taken from the front porch of our home. This is a neighbor's dog that I could never manage to make friends with, as hard as I tried. And Krishna gives more understanding of how to have harmony in relationships by developing these qualities of humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, as our relationship enhances. So this is our daughter riding her horse and her friend riding her own horse. These girls in Sharanagati and boys have grown up without television. And they're alive and well. As soon as irrevocable loving service bhakti is established in the heart, the effects of lust, greed, and envy disappear from the heart. Then one becomes completely happy. So this is the fourth and final part of harmony in the Bhagavad Gita, the wellspring, or the source of harmony. And in the Gita, Krishna explains that from him comes his effulgence, called Brahman, which is the all-pervasive light or energy of God. And also from him comes the Paramatma, or super soul feature, who is present in each and every heart as the overseer, and the guide, and the witness, the permitter, the friend. And also he is Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-attractive and full of all opulences. This is from our front porch. These black bears come to eat our carrots and to break our apple trees to get our apples. It's a baby black bear. Black bear and baby. And in the Gita, Krishna speaks of the highest destination, his own abode, the final goal for all aspiring transcendentalists. And once we go there, we don't have to experience the miseries and the dualities of this world. This apple tree, my daughter and I planted in our front yard. The need of the spirit soul is that it wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill its desire for complete freedom. It wants to see the free light in the spirit. This is one of the cabins the early pioneers built 150 years ago. They sawed down Sharanagati trees to make the walls. And the roofs now have all caved in, but you can see the walls will still last for many, many more years. And this is our preparation for winter. We heat our homes with wood heat. And for water, the residents of Sharanagati went up into the mountains and found streams, and they put pipes from the streams to the various homes. So there's no need for electricity for water. It's all gravity fed. And here at first it looks like all the branches are helter-skelter, and then you can see through the center is the trunk. So similarly, each and every one of us has different qualities and character and talents. And if we use our qualities and characteristics and talents to please Krishna, then amidst all the diversity there can be harmony. Just as there's harmony in the tree, because every leaf and branch and twig is attached to the trunk of the tree. And here we're reading the Gita by the bonfire, which is by the lake in Sharanagati. And we have sports day where the young people and the adults play together. And the young people learn always to be optimistic, which is also a spiritual lesson. Krishna wants us back to his abode even more than we want to go there. So the devotee should always be optimistic. So this became harmony in the Bhagavad Gita, lessons from a life-changing move to the wilderness. And it's how to apply the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita to everyday life, to make them practical. And here we have our older daughter, now with her husband and her child. And my husband and I with our younger daughter, jumping on a trampoline. And this was our first Sharanagati winter when we were not sure if we would survive. And a few years later, and gardening, the eternal occupation, weeding, the eternal occupation of the garden. So here's changing bodies in Sharanagati. This lower picture was taken in 2000, and the upper picture last year, 2011. So on the right is Rasa, 11 years apart. Next to her is her twin sister, Kava. In the center is Kalindi. With a hat is Kalindi's younger sister, Gopal, who went from being the shortest to the tallest. And then at the end is our daughter, Priya. So the message is not that one has to live in a remote place, but that one can take the teachings of the Gita and apply them to one's life wherever one is living and whatever one is doing, and in that way experience harmony in one's life and a reduction of stress. And the devotee learns to see Krishna in his creation throughout the world, because in fact Krishna is in his creation throughout this world. And also the devotee is in the world, but unaffected by the world, just like ducks have a special quality to their feathers. So although they're in the water, they remain dry. So similarly, a devotee is not affected by the miseries of this world or the dualities of this world, and makes steady progress to rejoin Krishna in his spiritual abode. And that is a bumpy journey toward harmony with the Bhagavad Gita. So if you have the patience, we have a very short book trailer, 3-minute book trailer, that's okay. I got permission from the person in charge.
Embraced by mountains and the never-ending evergreen forests of British Columbia, Bhagavad Gita, one of the oldest spiritual teachings in existence, guides a community of off-the-grid quasi-pioneers. Of an unlively but somehow ideal setting, ordinary people explore their tiny role in an incredibly complex and stunningly beautiful network of life that gently yet persistently asks for their awareness. This is the story of a family that joins this diverse community of individualists and harvest soul-stirring, sweeping life lessons suited for any time, place, and circumstance.
Again, thank you for coming with this presentation. For those of you who are interested, she has her book table outside here. so you can come and get some books and also DVDs, especially from the Following Srila Prabhupada series. So let's give her another welcome. And also we forgot to mention welcome one other devotee. She's a little shy, Nandala Devi that's here. She's also another disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Spent about 20 years in Vrindavan? 20 years in Vrindavan. So these are old friends they haven't met in a long time. And she's currently staying in Rome, Georgia, doing some preaching. So, of course, as you mentioned, most of these disciples of Prabhupada now are almost 70 now. What? They're becoming older, so take advantage of some of the association. And thank you for coming down. And
Glories to Srila Prabhupada.